Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Bahasham, Barakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. In peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson, and I'm going to start it out in Luke chapter 19, verses 41 to 44. And when he was come near, he beheld the city and wept over it. And this is speaking of Yahushai, the Son of the Most High, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus, and that city was Jerusalem, saying, If thou hadst known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace, but now are they hid from thine eyes. For the days shall come upon thee, that thine enemies shall cast a trench about thee, and compass thee round, and keep thee in on every side. And Yahushai was speaking of 70 A.D., which was about 40 years away, when the Roman Empire's armies surrounded Jerusalem and besieged it, and starved them, broke into through the city walls, and caused a great slaughter. And shall lay thee even with the ground, and thy children within thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation. And just as the majority of our people back then rejected Yahushua and his message of repenting, for the kingdom of heaven was at hand, and that the enemy was about to come in like a flood, our people today, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who are the true children of Israel, are doing the same thing, rejecting the words of his prophets, the men of the Lord, who are out on the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles like this. Chiefly the brothers of GMS or Great Millstone, as well as the brothers that come in the spirit of GMS, telling you the exact same thing, that the enemy is about to cast that trench about you again, and lay you even with the ground, even you and your children within you. Those Romans are about to besiege Jerusalem again. Those ancient Romans were the biblical Edomites, or the so-called white people as they're known today, and America is Rome reborn, and Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. And as we can clearly see, Esau is getting ready to come down on you Israelites again. And right now, it's beginning with the Northern Kingdom, the so-called Latinos or Native Americans, chiefly the so-called Latinos right now. And we have a saying over here at GMS, the Northern Kingdom gets it first, but then Judah, or the Southern Kingdom, your so-called blacks, Negroes, African Americans, West Indians, gets it the worst. But I opened up the video with these verses to preface the first article I'm going to go to on Salon.com, titled, This is Going to Be Normal. Soldiers Descend on U.S. Cities. What does that sound like? The enemy coming in and casting a trench around you. The raid on MacArthur Park did not lead to any arrests, but that wasn't a point. And here you see those Roman centurions back again. Like a toddler with a gun, Americans are learning that fascism, when it happens here, can be rather stupid and still quite frightening. Take the display of force in Los Angeles. On Monday, National Guard soldiers and federal immigration agents cosplaying as veterans of the global war on terror, some on horseback, all in military fatigues and carrying assault rifles, transported in an armored personnel carrier with a big gun on top, staged an invasion of MacArthur Park, normally a popular gathering place for local residents, many of them immigrants from Central America. And Central Americans, Hondurans, Panamanians, Guatemalans, Nicaraguans, El Salvadorians are of the the tribe of Zebulun. Lines of agents swept across soccer fields as Black Hawk helicopters circled above, succeeding mostly in inflicting emotional trauma on children attending a summer camp. And remember what it said back in that Luke 19, they shall lay thee even with the ground, even thy children within thee. Hey, this sent a very strong message that, look, hey, we can send damn near an invasion force anywhere, anytime we want, and the children won't be exempt. And, with the passing of Trump's big, beautiful bill, the budget for ICE over the next 4 years is going to equal, $170 billion. And ICE is the perfect cover, to build up, military assets and another, militarized force to police the streets of America and you citizens. Hey, this is just made to get rid of illegal immigrants, criminals, rapists, those who are abusing the system. But best believe it's going to be turned on the Southern Kingdom and, hey, even those that are considered enemies of the state, you patriotic Edomites, truth tellers, anybody who's going against the status quo. And, over here at GMS, we believe that Donald Trump is Emperor Nero, the Roman Emperor Nero in the reincarnation. And if you know anything about the history of 70 AD, it was Nero who was having issues with Jerusalem and, set the pieces in play for the siege of Jerusalem. So again, everything written aforetime was written for our learning. It would seem that all the major players are back in place to fulfill their roles. And another thing Nero was known for was heavily persecuting, the so-called Christians, which the Christians were all Israelites back then. They of the circumcision, who knew they were Israelites at the time, and those of the circumcision, the so-called Gentiles who weren't heathens, but Israelites who were living after the ways of the heathens, that Greco-Roman way. But they heard the words of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai through the apostles and disciples and prophets back then and came back, just as the same thing took place today. It was a scary and un-American scene in a city of immigrants that has for weeks now been occupied by soldiers and terrorized by a federal government that views masked agents harassing people of color as just good content. MacArthur Park is the Ellis Island of the West Coast, explained Los Angeles City Council member Eunice Hernandez. It was chosen as this administration's latest target precisely because of who lives there and what it represents: resilience, diversity, and the American dream. She said, adding, "What you see happening there is coming to you. So wake up." Jerusalem being a people before it's a place, and it being compassed about the enemies again, that trench being set up. But it was also a big waste of money. Let me see. But it was also a big waste of money intended not to remove hardened criminals from America, but to terrorize some Americans for the entertainment of other Americans. Leaked military documents confirm as much, describing Monday's deployment as intended to demonstrate, through a show of presence, the capacity and freedom of maneuver of federal law enforcement within the Los Angeles Joint Operation Area. I'll read this one last paragraph. No arrests were made. A local ABC affiliate described Department of Homeland Security personnel as just standing there, but the outraged reaction among locals generated the desired headline on Fox News, which described the city's Democratic mayor, Karen Bass, as the prime actor and indeed the villain in Monday's events. Her arriving to denounce the show of force at MacArthur Park, characterized as obstruction, interferes of federal agents during a sweep of illegal immigrants in gang-plagued area. Now I'm going to jump down to these last few paragraphs. All of which is to say, call it what you will, fascism, right-wing authoritarianism, the logical zenith of 21st century American conservatism. It has already happened here. It is ugly, it is dumb, and it will be spreading in the coming months as the administration ramps up its efforts to remove 1 million people a year from the country they call home. They may never succeed at destroying the diversity that made America a great nation, but they will try, and their performance will be televised. And what you don't understand is it doesn't matter if it's a conservative or liberal. They're both wings on that same hateful bird. This country is bought and paid for by the elites. You know, your Rothschilds, Rockefellers, these other major secret families, you know, these elites. And their agenda is to foreclose on America and cause as much chaos as they can to bring the order out of that chaos, that NWO, that great RESET, and you Israelites are going to be the main target. Better get used to us now, as one official with Customs and Border Protection told Fox News, because this is going to be normal very soon. Jeremiah 30 verse 7. Alas, for those days are great. It is even the times of Jacob's trouble, when Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua is about to bring great judgment upon this earth, upon the wicked of our people, and hey, you heathens as well. And America is going to be the front row seat to this great judgment and destruction. But real quick, I'm going to read a few paragraphs from this article, because like I said earlier, the Northern Kingdom gets it first, but Judah gets it the worst. And hey, you know, those of the Southern Kingdom, you so-called blacks, you know, so-called Negroes, hey, you have nothing to feel safe about, which a lot of y'all are already starting to panic that, you know, Trump's going to be coming after the Southern Kingdom as well, which is exactly what's going to happen. But this is from levelman.com. Trump admits black people are next. Let's play a game. One guess who the words below belong to. But we also have a lot of bad people who have been here for a long time. People that whack people over the head with a baseball bat from behind when they are not looking and kill them. People that knife you when you are walking down the street. They're not new to our country. They are old to our country. Many of them were born in our country. Sounds like a citizen to me. I think we ought to get them the hell out of here too, if you want to know the truth. So maybe that'll be the next chapter we work on together. These are the words of President Donald Trump. Admits black people are next. Trump, we can do the dance and pretend we don't know what he is saying here. I'm sure someone will say he didn't mention race, and to start, that doesn't matter. He is talking about stripping away citizenship, and if we look at how he has been moving with ICE, this will not include due process. And we know first and foremost through the scriptures that Esau, the wicked, is about to come down again with great wrath, because not only does he know that he has but a short time, but hey, it's the judgment of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai on you Israelites for your wickedness. But let's get back to these precepts. This is Ezekiel chapter 21. I'm going to start at verse 9. Son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith Yahweh, say, a sword is sharpened and also furbished. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? It contemneth the rod of my son as every tree, and he hath given it to be furbished that it may be handled. The sword is sharpened, and it is furbished to give it into the hand of the slayer. And when you read Psalms 17, verse 13, the wicked, it says that the wicked is the sword of the Lord. And we know who the wicked is as pursuant to Malachi 1, verse 4, the border of wickedness, and the wicked whom the earth has been given into the hands of in Job 9, verse 24, Esau, Edom. And as it said, it has been sharpened to make a sore slaughter and given into the hand of the slayer. And let's see who this sword's going to be used against. Cry and howl, son of man, for it shall be upon my people. It shall be upon all the princes of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Terrors by reason of the sword shall be upon my people. Smite therefore upon thy thigh. This is Zechariah chapter 14. I'm going to read verses 1 to 2. Behold, the day of Yahweh cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. And while I've been talking about, Esau and ICE, which, a lot of those ICE agents are Edomites, they best believe you're going to have, foreign, nations in ICE uniforms, because a lot of those ICE people have their faces covered, wear vests. And then you're going to have foreign militaries, mercenary forces also on the streets of America coming against you Americans, especially you Israelites. During Biden's, presidency, what was he known for? Having the borders wide open, letting many different nations of people in here. And a lot of them were soldiers in sleeper cells. And then just to show you, like I said earlier, that these are two wings of the same hateful bird. Now you have the Trump administration on the right coming in and, giving all this money to ICE and border security and immigration to fix Biden's problems. But like I said, that's the perfect cover to create another militarized force to get rid of dissidents to the U.S. government. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem. And again, Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. To battle, and the city shall be taken, when the enemy shall cast a trench about thee, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished or graped, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity. And what are we seeing right now? Those of the northern kingdom getting rounded up and sent to Alligator Alcatraz, a concentration camp. And then they're also building many more across the country. It's only going to intensify. And the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. So that sword is getting sharpened to make that sore slaughter. Men, women, children, young or old, won't be exempt. This is Jeremiah chapter 18. I'm going to read verses 19 to 22. Give heed to me, O Yahweh, and hearken to the voice of them that contend with me. Shall evil be recompensed for good? For they have digged a pit for my soul. Remember that I stood before thee to speak good for them, and to turn away thy wrath from them. And if you know the story of the prophet Jeremiah, he was preaching, to the southern kingdom back then, that the Babylonians were about to come down in great wrath. But what did they do? They didn't take heed to his words and mistreated Jeremiah. They wanted to put him to death. The same exact thing as the prophets today. Besides being known as Rome, America is also known as Babylon the Great in the scriptures as well. And the Babylonians are about to come down again, and Israel is being hard-headed again, not taking heed to the words of the prophets, scoffing at us, calling brothers jobs, throwing stuff at brothers, calling the police. And if you could, just like with the prophets back then, you would put us to death. And remember what Yahushua said, saying, if thou hadst known, even thou at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace, taking heed to the words of the prophets. But now are they hid from thine eyes. 2/3 spiritual eyes and ears are closed, so that that judgment can come upon them. And even then, it's at the point to where, due to your just complete rebellion towards Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, just as Jeremiah back then did, hey, the men of the Lord are cursing you 2/3 in America, cursing you that these judgments come upon you in their full force. Verse 21, therefore, deliver up their children to the famine and pour out their blood by the force of the sword, which has been given into the hand of the slayer, and let their wives be bereaved of their children and be widows, and let their men be put to death. Let their young men be slain by the sword in battle. Those nations coming against Jerusalem to battle, the enemy casting that trench about thee to lay thee, even thee and thy children, with the ground. Let a cry be heard from their houses when thou shalt bring a troop suddenly upon them. ICE, UN forces, mercenaries, the military, for they have digged a pit to take me and hid snares for my feet. Now I'm going to close it out in 2 Esdras chapter 16. I'm going to read verses 70 to 72. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord, you Israelites. They shall be like madmen, that troop that's going to come in upon you, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. And we're seeing the beginning stages of this right now with what? Them coming against the northern kingdom, rounding them up, casting them out of their houses, and deporting them. But, hey, the northern kingdom gets it the first, Judah gets it the worst. It's going to trickle down to you southern kingdom as well. But that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babol, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.